Duluth School Board leaders have approved a tax levy increase as part of next year's budget. After failed referendums the past few years, the school district has had to shrink its budget by more than $7 million and cut staff as a means to do so. Now, district leaders have approved a 7% tax levy. They say the money will go toward operating the schools and supporting students. District leaders also addressed their legislative priorities for the new year, hoping to get state funding to help reduce the burden on taxpayers.
And in particular, we talk about increasing student funding to be the top priority. When we think about the general education fund, we get a set amount per student. We'd like to see that increase.
Other legislative priorities include increasing support for student mental health and to fully fund state-mandated programs so that districts don't have to tap into their general funds. Also of note, at that board meeting, Superintendent Magus's contract is slated to end next June. However, he says he is looking forward to continuing as the leader of the Duluth School District. He and the board are now working to finalize a 3-year contract, which will likely be made official in January. Still to